Most coaches and retreat leaders are not stuck because of a wrong strategy. They are stuck because of the identity ceiling that they have hit depending on the stage they are at. So if you haven't seen my other video where I show you a triangle, a hybrid pyramid map, where we talk about the different stages that you have to go through or pass through in order to reach a point where you are having a successful hybrid business, including your coaching membership or just about any online offer, and your international and your transformational retreat. So if you haven't watched that, go watch that first. So you have an idea that what role you have to play at each stage. Now, each stage requires you to operate from a different identity. Each stage requires you to have a different mindset, different strategy. The problem that most people experience is that they try to jump stages. Also, for instance, maybe you're looking at the other people who are successful and you're trying to duplicate their strategy. I did that. It was a point in my life when I could not afford any coaches. So what I did was I would sit down and break down everything that these people were doing in my industry. So I thought that if I could just break down their strategy, look at each step that they are taking, any content piece that they are putting out, maybe they're hosting a webinar. Back then in 2018, 2019, even 2020, the webinars were are a thing, really. Well, right now you have a choice whether you want to do a webinar or you don't want to do a webinar, or do you want to sell without a webinar or with a webinar. But back then, most people did not have a choice because that was the strategy that most people, like you saw the gurus implementing. And so the only thing you did was let me do another webinar. Anyway, so back to the topic. What I'm showing you today is a tool. It's actually a map. So it's a tool that I use for myself and for my clients to understand the friction at each stage, and then we craft an expansion path so that we can get out of our stuck identity and expand to a new level of identity that is needed for each stage. So stay tuned. There is a worksheet that comes along with this video, so go ahead and grab it from the description. If you want, you can follow along, or you can always download it and do it later. All right, let's dive in. So there are 4 steps to this exercise. The first step is to define your current identity. So there are multiple ways of answering or defining your current identity. How do you currently define yourself? But in this video, I'm going to give you just one way, but we can always look at the other ways of defining your current identity. So basically, what the question that you're answering at this step is, who do you believe you are? Or let me put it this way. What do you say out loud about yourself? Now, sometimes when you ask the first-time retreat leaders, what do they think about themselves or their business? The answer comes something along the lines of, I just hold space for people. I don't know how to sell. I'm not a selling person. I'm not a marketer. All I know is to hold space for people. Now, I 100% see the statement as truth. I know that we are all, as coaches, as mentors, as leaders, as hosts, are here to hold space for people. But if you're just here to hold space and you ignore the other responsibilities of how to bring people into your container, into your retreat, into your coaching, then you're ignoring the biggest piece of your business, which is sales. And if there are no sales, there are no people. If there are no people, there is no transformation. If there's no transformation, then there is no holding space, right? Anyway, so what you say out loud about yourself is your current identity. Like I said, there are multiple other ways to define this. When we do this exercise, we take up different areas of your life and elicit, what do you think about yourself in those different areas of your life or of your business? Step number 2 is the hidden friction. So here we identify the hidden friction. Now, hidden friction, again, there are multiple ways of defining this. One of them is inner conflict. I think I should use this one. Inner conflict. The other is fear. Fear is another, what is it that you fear? So, for example, what do you secretly fear? So, for example, a lot of people fear that they might be perceived as this greedy person who's not there to really think positive about the people or for good about the people, who's not there to give good, but is secretly just looking for sales, is using manipulative tactics, is greedy, is just trying to get the money out of the pockets, and all that kind of stuff. The inner conflict, though, is 2 sides of the same coin, which is something that you want, but you avoid. So you want something, but you secretly avoid it. So this is where the inner conflict is. So you want it, but you avoid it. And so we can identify what are the inner conflicts in your business, in your personal life. So yes, what do you want? What do you avoid? What do you secretly fear? What do you resent? All those kind of things. What do you resent? What do you fear? What do you avoid? All of that comes under hidden friction, and you identify all the gaps, right? Then once you have done that, and you don't have to do all of this in one go, and that's why I'm just sharing a couple of examples with you here. I'm not sharing all the things with you because this is something that you don't do in one go. You do it every time something comes up, everything that you're trying to resist, that's when you do this exercise. So you identify your current identity, the hidden friction, and then comes step 3, which is your expansion path. So, what's your expansion path? What do you need to do or learn in order to get out of this hidden friction? So, for example, let's say for the current identity, you believe that you are here to hold space for people. And then, as a hidden friction, you fear that people might see you as this greedy person. Then the expansion path or the growth path is that you need to learn how to do authentic selling. You need to learn the ways when you're not selling, but you're showing the value of the thing that you do. And so that people see the value in what you do and they are automatically sold, right? In other words, you learn to position your retreats and your coaching as a premium transformation and not just anything, not just like a fake promise or an over promise, but really a premium transformation. So you learn about that. I'm not saying do it. Learn about it first and then do it. Because if you don't learn it, but you do it, then people will see you as this fake person or somebody who's trying to be an imposter or is an imposter. So learning comes before doing. That brings us to last step, which is your new identity. All right, my love, what do we do here? Now that you know that this is something that you believe about yourself, this is what's holding you back, this is what you need to do in order to get out of that trap. Ideally, your new identity is something that you already reach, which kind of answers the question who you become as a result of this expansion and this exercise. A good example of this would be going from I just hold space for people to I create transformational experiences or transformative experiences. I create transformative experiences. So going from I just hold space to I create transformative experiences. So this is your growth path. This is where you start and this is where you end. And you start from a conflict and you get to clarity. Let me know in the comments once you do this identity expansion map that what came up for you, what current level of identity are you operating from, and what new identity are you going to take on in the near future. That being said, if you haven't watched my hybrid authority pyramid video, whether you are a retreat leader or a coach, go watch that video. I think there are 2 videos. There are variations of that video. There's a worksheet that comes along with that too anyway. This is the exercise. Let me know in the comments how it goes for you. And like I said, this is just one way of filling this exercise, filling this worksheet. There are multiple other questions and layers that we go deeper into when we do it with our clients. All right, talk to you soon and see you in the next video. Bye.